Here is one pro tip for every defender in Rainbow Six Siege, and be sure to watch all of them because they might save you another game. Now, as smoke, we all know, oh yeah, wait to the last 30 seconds to use smoke grenades. Instead of doing that, actually find opportunities in the round where, let's say if they're burning for your shield, right? They throw 2 flashbangs, boom. If you smoke grenade it fast enough, you can actually disrupt their burn process, and the person with the grenade's got to back up, and then it's going to be a lot more burn for them after. So don't be afraid to use your smoke grenades aggressively. Let's say if they're rushing somewhere, you know, just be sure to use them. It's better to die using all 3 of them rather than die with all 3 in your pocket. Now for mute, did you know that you actually place your jammers on a little bit faster? So if I were to put them down, because we all know mute has a long setup, gotta make rotates, all that kind of stuff. So if you actually put it down, the second the blue light comes on, you can actually cancel like the last quarter of the device put down, whatever it's called. But this is kind of really save you a lot of time. So just kind of keep this in mind if you ever have played mute again. So with castle, it always sucks if you barricade teammates out of the objective, right? Well, instead, if you ever need to make a castle like a rotation, punch it 8 times. 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's say like if I need to rotate someone, right? Then boom, I can just surprise them and then go for a kill. Now for pulse, you have to think about pulse is literally free information, free wall hacks on the defense side. So don't always only aim for a C4. Instead, try to follow your teammates around, maybe on the opposite floor where they're roaming, and kind of be like, oh yeah, there's one person going here. And once you kind of learn the map enough, you'll be like, oh yeah, he's pushing cafe door, he's gonna come push here. So you know, use pulse more as like almost like a valkyrie almost. You don't always have to go for a C4, but it's good for their information. Now doc's not really anything special, but the only thing I can really say is don't be afraid to be like a gunner on your team. So there's really not much to advanced stuff to doc, but you know, just try to utilize the 1.5. You know, don't be scared to peek. Now, honestly, for rook, all I'm going to say, man, just make sure you put your armor down. Don't wait until the last like 10 seconds where everybody's doing their setup. Put the rook armor down as fast as you can. That's really all there is. Now for kapkan, we know kapkan has actually been one of the most popular roamers in the game right now. People have been picking him a lot more because he has the 1.5, good, you know, C4 and explosive denial. So all you really need to know is that 3 kapkan traps are enough to kill anybody, any enemy, no matter their armor. And for if you want to injure someone, it would only take about 2 of them. And then obviously the default one is 40 damage each. But I would say always try to put the kapkans a little bit lower down always. One thing you can do is kind of think of it from an attacker's perspective. So if I was an attacker and I'm walking through, right? Walking through, where's my crosser going to be? And is it going to be exposed on this door? Most likely they're going to be like pre-aiming this box, pre-aiming this right here. It's possible they might not see it if they're too busy searching everywhere, and then they over peek and then boom, they'll hit it. So try to think it from an attacker's perspective, where are they not looking, and get creative with it. Now moving on to the Tachanka, pro tip I would have for him is learn how to ricochet. So what you could do is Tachankas are kind of like capitals. If you bounce them straight off the sling, they will go directly down. So that way you don't always have to expose yourself putting it right on the floor. So learn how to ricochet. You want to bounce it off a wall. Let's see if I bounce it off that shelf right there, then it kind of comes down here. Now a tip for Jager is to, instead of putting them on random spots everywhere where you think you like, you know, just kind of like random spots, instead try to combine your Jager devices with shields, any kind of bulletproof utility that people might be throwing at. For example, there's a shield right here. You know, try to normally if the person will put the shield a little bit further back, so you want to tuck them up right here instead of just putting it maybe. I mean, these work fine, but just kind of always have that in the mind of, okay, where is the shield at? Where do I need to put the ADSs at? Don't put them in random spots. But that's all I really would say. A lot of Jager players don't really combine their ADSs with the defense, and it makes it a lot weaker. Now for bandit in the most recent update, you can actually put more than one bandit charge on one wall. So for example, you know, if there's a thatch and you're trying to bandit trick, that way you don't always have to pick it up, put it back down. So this is kind of a little bit of buff to him. So you can actually put 2 batteries on one if you wanted to. But I would say is to just learn how to bandit trick better. You know, learn how to get the timing right. You might die a few times doing it, but the more you practice it, the more it can actually be a really good trick. Now my tip for frost is that obviously you would always want to put your frost under common windows. But one thing you can also do is try to catch people off guard. Like I said, similar to kapkan, where the attacker's looking, where they're not going to be looking at so much. For example, like TSM did a very good job of this, of showing, you know, like kapkan's traps are frostbites behind here. A lot of people, maybe it's not a window or a doorway, but as they're looking around, they might run into it. So kind of keep that in mind of where our attackers not really looking at, and you can actually even get away with putting them open sometimes. Now, pro tip for Valkyrie is that you don't always have to have the best view. Like everyone's always going to try to maybe get, let's try this one, right? So for this one, you know, you get to see a whole lot of the room. We're very easy, right? But if someone's joining out and they see you're on the cam, they can see, oh, a big blue light in the corner. So they'll shoot it. Instead, understand that like how they can be seen. So if I were to actually put it right here, then anybody joining or anything won't be able to see it as much. And the vision is not that good, but it's still, you know, actually really good at this one. You can throw a C4 over, but kind of keep that in mind of, okay, is my Val cam obvious? Stuff like that. All right, I'll be honest, for Cav, I mean, there really is no pro to her. He's got to run around like a freaky girl and just interrogate everybody. Now for Echo, I would say is not spacing your yokais out good enough. You could also always put one in sight, and the other one can kind of be used to, you know, patrol outside of sight. Okay, where are they coming in from? You know, information you wouldn't normally get as a defender running around, but this could be really good. And also, don't be afraid to stun your enemies. You know, sometimes if you see them, stun them a little bit, and then try to remove your yokai. But it's okay if your first one gets destroyed, but sometimes stunning them really throws the enemy off. Now for Mira, don't underestimate the amount of pressure that she can, the lines of sight that she can hold. So, you know, don't be afraid to kind of like open up the walls in front of it. And also if there's a lot of like debris on it and you can't really see past it, if you shoot the wall like on the mirror, you can actually see a little bit further into your mirror and give you a little bit of a cleaner view. But also position your mirrors in areas that you want to try to contest if you're able to. But very careful not to get shot from behind too much. Now, my tip for Lesion is that I think people are putting their goo mines a little bit too close. For example, like if they wanted to roam, putting a goo mine here really isn't the best because it's so close. By the time this goes off, you already know they're here. Instead, try to put them a little bit further away from angles you're not really going to be watching too much, and use them as kind of like, you know, you're relying on them. So if I put a goo mine all the way down here and I'm roaming here, if I hear a Lesion mine go off, I'm gonna be like, oh, someone's coming yellow. It gives you enough time to react, rather instead of just putting them like, you know, really close in sight. You don't want to do that. Now honestly for Ella, it's actually like the same principles. Just make sure your Ella mines are in the spot where you can actually swing off of them a little bit earlier. But yeah, like don't put them too close in sight. Now pro tip for Vigil is that if a lion scan is going off, you can actually move during the lion scan and you won't get detected if you have your thing on. But if you already knew that, then I would really just say make sure you try to save your scanner. You know, don't want to turn it on and off if you're getting joned or not. Use it when you want to retreat, and understand around 1:30 is when you should start retreating off the roam. Now for maestro, I would say just trying to understand, you know, think of your maestro cam almost like a Valkyrie cam. You know, what are some like, you know, how can you cover the most ground with your maestro cam? For example, like this one is a lot better than maybe like I better not see anyone do this kind of, I mean, this one is just like, you know, you don't really see too much. You're not getting a lot of info, but this one is also a little bit better for the range. Actually, this is actually not that bad of a maestro cam, but you know, use your maestro cams to zap for drones. The more drones that you can zap, you know, obviously the more utility you can collect. So kind of just have an idea of why your maestro cam is there rather than just putting it for a random spot. Now, one tip for alibi is that you should try to get make it so the base can't get shot so easily. So for example, I put it behind this half wall, right? You can't really shoot it that hard easily until you kind of wallbang a little bit. But it's better than just having it right in the middle like this. However, if you're roaming and you don't know where to put them, you can actually just put them in the, like I said, smack in the middle of the door like this, almost like a kapkan trap. So in case, you know, you're roaming over here and you don't know if anybody's armory side, if that thing gets shot over there, then you know someone's over there. All right, and for Clash, the tip I have for her is to try not to get too close to the enemy, and also try to make sure you always have someone behind you. It's better to have someone play behind you, try to shoot off you, and don't be afraid to use your stun. I think a lot of people don't use your stun too much, but understand when it has to recharge. And it's better if you use it only like towards the red, let it recharge, rather than have it, you know, fully have to like, you know, burn out charge. So a pro tip you can actually do with Kade is instead of just putting it flat down, try to get creative with the certain spots, and you might find yourself a good K club that you can use to get the walls without, you know, getting grenaded. Obviously, I messed that one up, but you know, you guys know what I mean. Now, one tip for mozzie, what you could do is that you can actually put your mozzie press into the floorboard. So if you have the commando like me and you open up the floorboard, you can actually tuck a mozzie press in there. Now, when someone's trying to jump the door, they're gonna think it's on the side, but actually you can't. It's very hard to shoot it from the outside. So that pass, it can even be better than the one on the side like this. Now for Warden, I think Warden's very self-explanatory. I mean, just use your smokes or use your glasses in the smoke. Just know when to recharge it, but he's a very simple operator. Now, one tip for goyo, I would say is just be more mindful where you put your canister charges at. You know, use them like melusi gadgets almost. If it goes off, then, you know, have all that area denial right there. But goyo's actually, I feel like he is a little underrated. But besides I'm putting on doorways, if you actually put them on, if you make a wall soft and you put it on the wall stuff like this, that way if anyone tries rushing a certain wall or they open up something, then they'll be waiting for a little bit if they try rushing it. But you know, all the fire like this will get the whole area. Pro tip for wamai is to kind of, like I said, understand, like, you know, where the disc, if a grenade was to go off, you know, let's say if my shield's right here, right? I'm not going to want my disc to be right here, because if the grenade goes off, it's going to get my shield. So instead, just always put your disc, you know, in top corners. The radius is pretty large. If you see the, you know, how large the radius is, you can get away with putting it in top corners. But think about wamai as, oh, I want to drag the explosives away or any flashbangs or whatever. So just kind of have them smart. Don't just put them in like passive areas like yellow staircase, unless you really need a wamai gadget there. But like I said, similar to Jager, make sure you're putting your wamai stuff, your disc near bulletproof stuff, not just random spots. And for Oryx, all I really say is his dash is pretty unique. So, you know, I would use your dash to get out of sticky situations instead of just sprinting everywhere. So understand, like, the dash can get you to like areas if you want to cross certain crossfires, but use the dash more than you think. So here's a pro tip for melusi, is that you should put your banshees in areas that basically where you don't want people to be at. For example, if I didn't want someone to walk up this staircase, I wouldn't put it all the way below, or I wouldn't put it for all the way to up, because by the time they reach this banshee, they already get all the map control they need. However, I put it right in the middle. That way they, as it goes off, they're in a position where I get the position on the swing on them. You kind of want to make sure the banshee's like right before the attacker gets like an advantage position on you. This kind of uses a little bit of game sense, but don't put them too far up to sight or too close to you. So kind of make sure the banshee gets destroyed first before they get to a gunfight with you is the better term to put it in. So if your pro tips for aruni is that if you should just put them on all the common doorways. For example, like, you know, people like to walk this door a lot, so you put one there. The other one you would put like, you know, here, and the last one, if you don't know where to put the other one, just put it on a breach. Or breach tends to get opened up a lot and people like to throw things through. Put it like, you know, on here. But one more thing is that if you can actually put a BP inside of a reinforced wall, and if you wanted to, you could even secure it like this, but it's very situational to do this kind of type of thing. But if you ever want to add that extra layer of protection, go for it. And one more thing, I'm giving you a lot of tips to aruni because she's so good. Please use your punching fist. A lot of people don't use the punching fist correctly. They just don't use it, or they make the incorrect holes. Literally use it as if you were like smoke in a way. Now honestly, Thunderbird is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, just make sure you put them in spots just in sight. I mean, they're just healing pods, nothing too advanced about Thunderbird. Now Thorn is actually a very interesting operator. She's actually been pretty good lately. She brings a shield, good gun, and good gadget. So she's kind of like melusi with a shield in a way. So remember, a good thorn trap would be somewhere, you know, where it takes the enemy's crosshair off. So if I put it right here, right, they're walking up here, they look up this, you know, this is kind of like a bad thorn trap just because it's so easy to shoot. But for example, if I put it way up here, they're walking up, and then boom, it starts to go off. They'll have to shoot it, but then also I get a swing right here. So just always kind of be close to your thorn gadgets and just kind of know when to swing off of them. And I mean, you just gotta put them in area now, similar to aruni. Very, very simple. Just think of it like a frost trap. If they want to shoot the thorn trap, they either die from me shooting them in the back while they shoot it, or they kill me, but they die to the thorn trap. So it's like a win-win. Now, a tip for azami is kind of, you want to think of it like, how can you hold parts of the map that would normally you wouldn't be able to because of lines of sight? For example, if you wanted to play right here, right, you have this window open, then you have this window open, you have a lot of attacker pressure, right? However, if you were to put in a azami gate right here, then you're a little bit safer from that angle, and now you can kind of manipulate the enemy a little bit better. So in my opinion, I think azami is 100% meta changing. As you can see in PL, she's very, very good. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next. And let's try to hit 1,000 likes because you guys seem to really enjoy the attackers video, and I think the defenders video is going to be just as good.